Welcome to The Explainer. This is where we love to break down fascinating stories, and today, oh man, we've got a really cool one. It's a musical mystery from the 90s that was basically just solved by the internet, all thanks to a forgotten band and, well, a very powerful algorithm.
So here's the big question, right? How on earth does a band from Japan just vanish in 1997 and then suddenly, boom, they go viral today? It's a story that is just so perfect for our modern digital world.
So, let's talk about how this band was basically reborn online. The group's name is Satellite Lovers, and their music has just exploded on places like YouTube and Reddit, creating this huge wave of excitement decades after they quietly called it quits and pretty much faded from memory.
Okay, but to really get why this is such a big deal, we gotta go back. Like, way back. We're rewinding the clock to the 1990s Japanese music scene to figure out who this band actually was and what made them so special in the first place.
So, these guys were part of this super cool, super specific movement called Shibuya-kei. And if you're not familiar, just picture this. It's this really stylish, sophisticated genre that's mixing all kinds of sounds. A little jazz, some soul, pop, even electronic stuff, all into one really chic package.
And yeah, they weren't just some small-time band in the scene, no way. From what our source material tells us, Satellite Lovers were actually seen as a huge deal back in their early days. They were even called the last big name of the Shibuya-kei movement. I mean, they were poised for some really big things.
Now, what's really interesting is how the band evolved. They had these two totally distinct eras, right? First, you've got their indie phase. They're this big six-person group. Then, they sign with a major label, Sony, and they streamline everything down to a core three-member band. And you can really see that shift here. I mean, going from a six-piece band, they even had a DJ on turntables, down to this really focused trio is a huge change. You had Mika Ikeuchi on vocals, with Hiroyuki Suzuki and Yutaka Nakano handling guitars and bass. A totally different vibe for their major label run.
So, get this. For their final act, they fly all the way to New York City, record in this legendary place, Funky Slice Studios, and then, poof, they just vanished. Faded from the scene completely. It was like their story was just left hanging. Well, until now anyway.
All right, so this is where things get really wild. The algorithm's echo. This is how the internet found what was completely lost. A story from the 90s suddenly becomes a full-on 2020s phenomenon.
Okay, look at this timeline. It's nuts. It all kicks off in June 2024. Some random user uploads one of their albums to YouTube. The algorithm, being the algorithm, just picks it up and starts recommending it to people. A conversation sparks up on Reddit, and that momentum just builds and builds until, by the very next year, Sony themselves are officially re-releasing their music. It's crazy.
Okay, so what is it about the music? What was in that sound that just grabbed a whole new generation of listeners, decades later? Let's kind of take a tour of their sound.
So this album right here, Sons of 1973, this was the one. This was the catalyst for everything. Our source describes it as being really light and cohesive, just the perfect way to get into that Shibuya-kei sound. No wonder it went viral.
And the author of the article we're looking at was so passionate about this record, they actually said they wanted one specific track, How Much I Love You Baby, to be the band's signature song. I mean, to single out one track like that, that's some serious love for the music.
But it wasn't just about that one viral album. Their final record, BKLN, for Brooklyn, is thought of as maybe even being their masterpiece. The source material points out that the vocals were the best they'd ever been, and that it might actually be their best album overall. They were showing this incredible artistic growth right before they disappeared.
And this wasn't just some flash-in-the-pan internet story. This viral fame had real, tangible consequences. It kicked off a full-blown, official revival of the band's music, stuff that had been lost for decades.
So yeah, the result was this entire reissue campaign. Thanks to all this new buzz, Sony made their major label albums available again, first digitally, then on CD, and now they're even coming out on vinyl for the first time in forever. And here's a little interesting detail. There was a cover song they did that had to be left off the new releases because of rights issues. Just goes to show how complicated it can be to bring this old music back.
Which really brings us to the big takeaway here, doesn't it? The whole story of Satellite Lovers leaves you with this one final question to chew on. In this age of algorithms, where so much of what we discover is fed to us, how many other forgotten masterpieces are just sitting out there, Just one click, one random recommendation away from being found all over again?